All right, all right. Hello, Logan. Welcome.
Hello, hello. Good morning.
All right. So, welcome to the latest Lilypad AMA. Super excited to have everybody here. Logan, thanks as usual for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday. Cool. So, of course, the chat is always open for questions. We'll be, checking in on that while we go. But today we thought we would jump into like what's going on with Lilypad, talk a little bit about the network as we always do, and then get into the incentive net, and then get into a bunch of the work that the team is up to from the engineering side. So, with that, let's do it. It looks like that's blocking. Okay, that's big. Cool. So, we thought it was important to, as always, to start off these AMAs with just giving a high-level summary of like what's the vision behind Lilypad? Why are we here? Why are we doing this? Long story short, we're building an accessible, efficient, permissionless open compute network. So the vision here is to build a permissionless distributed compute network that orchestrates idle GPUs into one big, decentralized cloud network that developers can use to run applications. The most common applications and sort of the main use cases that we're building for at the moment are for AI job processing. So running AI inference. It's pretty easy to add a code to run on the Lilypad network, to add an AI model to run on the Lilypad network in the form of what's called a Lilypad module. And so we make it super easy to onboard your data, onboard your code into that Lilypad module, and then run it in our job-based system. So the vision, again, is to build internet-scale data processing for this use case and unleash idle processing power. In addition to providing competition for the big cloud computing companies, the other vision here is the other piece of this vision is to actually unlock idle compute power for individuals who have computers at their homes, for businesses that have computers and GPUs sitting around, or just have GPUs that they would like to monetize. This is something that the Lilypad network has been built for, and we can compete on not just permissionless and verifiability, but we can also compete on performance in the long run. So really quick, I went over this last AMA, but I thought it was important to quickly mention it again. This is how you can think about the Lilypad stack. So, on the one side we have the demand, on the other side we have the supply. So the supply comes in the form of GPUs. Anything from, right now we only support NVIDIA GPUs. That will change in the future. Right now on the network there's 3070s, 3080s, 3080 Ti's, the 4090s, 4060s. We've got some A100s. So, and I know that there'll be some more beefier GPUs join the network over time. And so the idea behind, or the sort of architecture of the network is you have this setup of partnerships, value layers, and a whole module marketplace built on top of this open GPU stack. And so the real value that Lilypad brings is we make it very easy to run code. We provide an open network of GPUs that are available to run the code, and then we really focus on the value layers. And so providing a world-class developer experience, we've got a really easy-to-use CLI. We're working on an API for people to just send post requests to the Lilypad network. We also have smart contracts that the developers can use to actually execute AI inference and other types of programs on the network. And in the long run, we will have a full SDK. In addition to a web UI, we anticipate our initial plan is to build out the network and to build out the functionality for developers to build on top. We'll also provide our own SaaS layer as time goes on for less technical users and for more functionality. And then finally, the module marketplace is something we're very, very excited about. Think of it as a decentralized Hugging Face type system where developers can contribute models that become Lilypad modules that can be run on the network, and people can share information. The modules are open source, and this becomes a whole community and a whole ecosystem of GPUs being matched with people who need to run, or who need the compute and who need to run jobs. So this leads to significant cost savings for users, easy to use, and of course open, which is very important with regards to running any kind of program, but specifically running AI models. This is extremely important. So Our call to action, as usual, is join the Lilypad Incentive Net. We launched the Incentive Net in June, and jump on with the GPU or many GPUs to earn Lilybit rewards points. As you can see on the right, we have a leaderboard. This is actually a screenshot from today. It looks like there's 884 total nodes. We're super proud of that. Looks like 559 are online at this exact moment. And these nodes are earning Lilybit rewards. And these Lilybit rewards will be redeemable for points upon mainnet launch, upon TGE for Lilypad. And so we're super excited to be able to support these resource providers, onboard a ton of compute capacity, and have a lot of available GPUs as more and more demand comes onto the network. We're launching our own partnerships, and then we're seeing developers find the network. And it's been amazing to be able to actually have more than enough supply to service their needs. And so thank you to our initial resource providers who have jumped on. It's been an amazing experience. We cannot thank you enough for all the feedback you've provided, for all the patience you've had. We've had some bumps in the road, as you would expect with a testnet. And so thank you to the community for supporting us and believing in us. We will not let you down. So how to participate in the incentive net is very simple. Run a Lilypad node. So typically you would need at least, so you can run a Lilypad node with just a CPU without a GPU. However, you won't be earning any rewards. So that may not be very viable economically. But with a GPU, my understanding is that in the docs, I believe it says something along the lines of a 3070 is probably the smallest card to run. Logan, maybe you can correct me on that. But anyway, jump on the network, download and install the CLI. We've got some really great docs and some video guides on how to actually run a GPU or run a node on the network, and start contributing. And the way it works is your node will start to run. So you get testnet Lilypad tokens, you get testnet Arbitrum Sepolia ETH in a wallet, and you make sure you're installed, you have the latest Lilypad version installed, and you start running your node. You're running Bacalhau, you're running all of the fancy stuff under the hood. And that's when you start running the proof of work hash rate algorithm that we have set up to basically identify what GPU, or at least identify a GPU that's being run on the network and prevent Sybil attacks. And so we want to make sure that long-term partners and people who are running nodes on the network are rewarded fairly and equitably, and people who come in and try to Sybil attack the network are not rewarded. And so we have a set process where proof of works run constantly throughout the day. We expect, or we need, in order to earn rewards, the GPU must at least pass one of those proof of work checks. So that would be equal to 4 hours of uptime per day. And we believe that's a pretty reasonable amount of time. We know that it might be difficult to have the node up 24/7. That said, though, the points that are being given in this first stage of the incentive net are weighted heavier. And so through further stages of the incentive net in the future, points will be weighted less, as in you'll be earning less points for participating in the network in that time. And so right now, and over the last month, point has been a very crucial moment for resource providers to earn points. And thus, we have a slashing mechanism in place where if you are offline, you are slashed some of that earnings. And we did this to incentivize long-term participation. We do have an open discussion about this. Please feel free to ask. It's also in the Discord on our GitHub. If people have ideas or feedback on this mechanism, please let us know. It needs to be fair and equitable, and the basic premise is that the system cannot be taken advantage of. And so this is how we're doing it right now. We are tweaking things as problems arise, and we are open to feedback. So please let us know. All right, we have a lot of resources for the incentive net. I went through this in the last AMA, so I won't spend too much time on this, but we have an awesome leaderboard. So this is the one-stop shop for resource providers to understand, what Lilybit rewards have I earned, and see where you're ranked on the list of all the Lilypad nodes in the network. We are also using this to sort of troubleshoot to make sure your node is online. Like as a node provider, you have commands to check the status locally on your machine. You can also use the leaderboard to ensure that you're earning points. And you can actually click through to Arbiscan, which will show you the proof of work transactions running, on chain. And we recommend for all resource providers to, on a daily basis, be restarting your machine, making sure you're running the latest Lilypad version, and do be checking Arbiscan to make sure you're running those proof of works. We, as we were in testnet, we have noticed some issues or some not latency, but we have noticed some resource providers have, for lack of a better term, maybe stalled out and they need to restart their machine. And so we have, because we're in testnet, we do ask for resource providers to do that. Apart from that, we've got some awesome documentation that we've been spending time on to make sure it's really up to date and includes all of the sort of edge cases. Well, includes many edge cases and as possible to make sure that for different issues that arise, different configurations that people are using, we have answers. There's also a troubleshooting section in the docs under hardware providers that gets into just a lot of FAQs that have come up. And so definitely check that out. And then on our blog, we've written a lot about the incentive net. The sort of one central source of truth for the Lilybit rewards program is in that bottom right corner, the Lilybit blog that we've posted. That's really the main place where you can understand how the Lilybits are calculated, what are the rules, and what's sort of the plan for the Lilybit rewards. So definitely check that out for more information on how that all works. Yeah, I mentioned this already. So we have the troubleshooting FAQs. That's something that's sort of a living document. And then the main place to sort of raise a support ticket is in our Discord. We have this section called I Need Help, which is being used. It seems like it's working really well. People can come in, open up a ticket. We do have a format that we ask. We ask for you to give us your wallet ID, or the version of Lilypad you're running, a bunch of other information, like what Linux version you're running, and even some logs. Please make sure you don't include your private key. Definitely take that out if you're giving us any log information. And that's been super helpful to triage problems and to get the information to our engineering team if needed really quickly. So the more information you provide, the better. We end up having to ask for more information if it's not there. And so we're always here to help. The DevRel team has been tasked to make sure we're here to help on the daily. And so, yeah, the more information we have, then the faster we can help triage your problems. We have some awesome community programs also. If you want to check, if you have other ways that you want to participate, on Galaxy, you can earn, I believe there's 2 roles now, Ribbiting Ranger and Pawn Guardian. And so please go check that out and jump in. That's a super easy way and super fun way to join the Lilypad community and get involved. And we have also launched the Lilypad Ambassadors program, which has been super awesome. The idea here was to highlight, highlight members of the community who contribute all the time. And so we have members who are in the Discord answering questions, opening PRs on our Lilypad GitHub repos, on the main code repo, on the awesome Lilypad repo. So we've noticed some rock stars who've been participating quite a bit, and we wanted to give them a forum, give them a channel to participate in a little more of a formal way that actually recognizes their work. And so we onboarded the first 5 Lilypad ambassadors 2 weeks ago, and those ambassadors have access to the Lilypad team more closely. They will also be eligible to earn rewards in the future. So that's a really exciting benefit just for participating in the community. So this is going to be an ongoing thing. Our intention is to onboard more ambassadors over time. So keep up the good work, community, keep participating, keep answering questions. The more visibility we see of you, the more help we see, the more contributions. We're seeing teams, or we're seeing individuals put together some awesome dashboards, some cool front ends. We're starting to, as we move into the next stage of the incentive net, which will be more focused on incentivizing module development, front end development, that kind of stuff, this program will become even more important and more front and center. So yeah, keep up the good work, keep participating. We see you. Yeah, so the call to action, of course, is to get involved in any way possible. Join the incentive net. If you have an extra GPU, jump into the Discord, ask questions, contribute ideas. And there's a lot of places you can find us. You can find us on Twitter. You can go read our blog. And of course, check out the GitHub. And we have some awesome videos on YouTube that walk through many different guides on how to do things in the network, run jobs, run a node, all kinds of fun stuff. Even some talks from the Lilypad CEO, Ali Hare, and also some talks from some of the other team members. So of course, check those out. I'm going to open up the floor to any questions. It looks like at the moment we don't have any, and we answered them. So please feel free to jump in at any time, ask questions. I'm checking the chat. we are here to help. But yeah, thank you so much. Again, we're here because of the community. We are an open source project. We are community driven, and so Lilypad starts and stops with the community. And so that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this AMA every week. And yeah, thank you. So now we thought if we would jump in with Logan, talk a little bit about what's going on the Lilypad network. What are some of the latest developments, and what's some stuff to be excited about that's coming up. So yeah, thanks for joining, Logan.
No problem.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing swell. Just another day. Very excited. Very excited to be pushing a bunch of updates on the engineering side to make a lot of things in a lot of ways better. So,
so we have a few. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. We have a few categories of things that I know the team's working on. So maybe we can jump into first sort of kind of the observability side of things, like the logging and the tracing. So of course, like we keep track of what's going on the network from a very, very high level. And I know the team's working on getting a little more information about like what nodes are running what jobs. I know there's like a key focus on keeping like the inputs and the outputs of the AI inference, for example, private. But yeah, maybe you can walk us through a little bit about what the logging and tracing looks like these days.
Right. So we have a ton of telemetry coming through the resource provider nodes into our metrics system. So we have a large collection of APIs to collect information about the nodes being ran. So the resource provider computers. So like things like how much resources are available, how much what's the uptime, especially for the proof of work. This is all very, very important. Then we have a lot of other telemetry coming from a few of the different services. And so what the big upgrade is, what the big exciting push this week that one of our supreme God engineers is working on, Brian. Basically, we are adding a lot of functions to see what the network is doing itself, as well as all of our existing telemetry and metrics data. So being able to see when particularly some of the resource providers stop providing their outputs, that tends to be somewhat of a issue lately. Another one will be sometimes our solver mechanism, something that we're running. Sometimes that will stale out or stop working after time. So getting telemetry in there, getting some code to see, hey, okay, this thing isn't responding anymore. Maybe it's time for a good restart, or figuring out why it's staling out in general. Maybe fixing that. Having this telemetry will really make that a lot more efficient. Give us a lot more eyes into the actual processes that are running. Within any decentralized network, there's a lot of things moving, and so having a lot of eyes on and knowing what's going on is very important.
Yeah. My understanding is like one of the core, one exciting sort of piece of this is to be able to track the life cycle of a job. So understanding when a job gets submitted, does it get accepted, and then which node accepts it, and then does it run successfully, and then what does a successful run even mean, and then being able to like say, okay, yes, this output was created, although we don't know what the input or the output was. We at least can track sort of that full life cycle, right? Which I think ends up being crucial for making sure we're building in the right direction.
Definitely. To be honest, I'm not too keyed into. I mean, I've seen this update working in a very infant state, so I'm very excited to see exactly like you're saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, also once we are able to sort of see this life cycle of a job, we can also start to optimize and figure out where things are going wrong, or where there's latency, or how we can improve things. Of course, to like how we can make sure we're maintaining as much privacy as possible, obviously is a key piece here. This sort of jumps into sort of like the next call to action we have. I meant to mention this earlier. So for all resource providers, please make sure you're running Bacalhau on your resource provider. Of course, like when you follow the directions, you install it and then you start it. we've noticed that some nodes have not, either bacalao somehow gets turned off or they just haven't turned it on. And please make sure, so please, for every resource provider, just check to make sure you're running bacalao. In addition to that, we support bacalao 1.3.2. We are not supporting the latest bacalao version yet. And so please make sure you're running the latest bacalao 1.3.2. We are actually going to send out a message in the updates RP channel soon today to make sure to sort of like circulate this information again. But Logan, it feels like this logging and tracing will also help with questions like this, like our resource providers running bacalao and our jobs failing because maybe they have the wrong version or because bacalao is not running correctly. I feel like that's part of this big logging tracing push.
Definitely. We have some intermittent problems. They seem common for some groups of people, but then other groups of people, they try to do the same install process for the resource provider, and some issues don't show up. And so, yeah, we definitely need to iron out some of the telemetry will help us iron that out, no doubt. Yeah. And for more information and more background about the issue that we're talking about, essentially, either something is going wrong in the Bacalao IPFS install process. So Bacalao comes with a version of IPFS bundled with it. And so for some reason, that version of IPFS that comes with Bacalao sometimes tends to be non-operational. To make it operational, all you need to do is run a simple export command. You need to export the path of the IPFS bundled node that Bacalao wants. And so it's like whenever you start up your Bacalao service, it will give you an error and say, hey, install IPFS, or it'll say initialize IPFS with IPFS init, and then you try to use IPFS init, and IPFS will say, hey, I'm not installed. And so to fix this, all you do is run this export IPFS underscore path, and with the path there, I don't know how we can paste this in.
Oh yeah, I can grab it. I actually just updated the docs with this point, so let me grab it for everybody. But yeah, no, this was a super useful addition. We've noticed that it's a little bit inconsistent, and so we've added this to the docs just in case if you do face this issue. As Logan mentioned, just set the IPFS path. How we did. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have more information about this, I think, maybe by the end of the week. Hopefully, we can just get rid of this issue altogether by simplifying some mechanisms here, especially within Bacalao. Very excited for the team to be working on that as well. The team is growing. We have a lot of people fixing things. It's don't you think, Alex? It's very exciting to see a lot of the things that you and I have been dealing with kind of deleted.
Yeah, I think the engineering team and the Lilypad team in general has really gotten into a good flow of sort of delegating triaging priorities, and sort of pushing towards our mainnet launch. Like we're using the incentivized testnet now to really learn and troubleshoot and like stress test the core sort of pillars of Lilypad in terms of like the tokenomics and the whole setup with an architecture with using Bacalao and how we've implemented our CLI and just stress test everything. And we've seen things work really well. We've seen some things burst the seam, and so it's been such a fun experience, I have to say. I'm sure it's also been very stressful for everybody. It has been for me too. But yeah, Logan, totally agree with you. Like as the team grows and as the team sort of formalizes how we're getting all this work done, it's been really cool to see. I'm really excited. We've got, the white papers being written sort of in the works. Like we had a light paper, but now the team's been focused on working with the Crypto Econ Lab to put together like the full Lilypad white paper. And it's been very exciting to see that come together. And again, like we're using the learnings from the incentivized testnet that's happening right now to feed into that, to make sure that, some of the assumptions that we've created and a lot of the architecture decisions we've made, have been stress tested now, and so we're actually like seeing these stuff, and then if there's problems, if there's stuff that doesn't make sense, we end up changing. So again, it's a very fluid process. We were in testnet, so thanks to everyone who's been contributing and really like adding value to the actual Lilypad architecture and the Lilypad network as we push the mainnet. So yeah, that's been really awesome. Logan, I know that there's been a good amount of work on the proof of work mechanism. I know there were some questions from the community about some potential calculation questions and some potential like inconsistencies. I was reading through some of the tickets right now. It looks like the engineering team has been tasked to sort of dive into that, and they're triaging that as we speak.
So yeah, I know that there has been the running of the proof of work on all of our resource providers nodes. And so we're collecting all of those hash rates. We've been collecting them over time. And so what we're doing right now is making sure that we have a good collection of benchmarks from a range of different cards. And so that way we can correctly, so the points very well, from my understanding, it very well could be wrong, but from what I understand,
well, I don't think that's correct. I think the points are correct. It's just we're making sure that the distribution of points as more and more nodes jump on the network is fair and is correct. And we've noticed some intermittent issues where like a resource provider will be running proof of works, but then for some reason their points aren't being counted. So just to clarify on that, like we're actively paying attention to that, and we know there's been a couple RPs that have said, hey, like here's my wallet, like please make sure that this is being done correctly. I restarted, I have the right version, all this stuff. So
okay, yeah. Okay, good to know. So yeah, I've been spending some time going through our databases, looking at all of the telemetry coming from the cards, and then being able to cross-reference and match that to physical examples. We also have a range of other telemetry telling us what's going on the resource provider nodes as well. And so we can definitely expect some changes there. We'll definitely be forward with the community, but definitely improvements, making things either more fair or making things a little more identifiable for resource providers. What else?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know one thing that's important there that I know you were telling me about is like we're using the hash rate to sort of identify what kind of card more or less we're dealing with. We don't really have too much information about what GPU specifically is being run on any one wallet ID, any one resource provider. So the hash rate, that providing like a benchmark of like, okay, 3080 would produce X hash rate and A100 would produce X hash rate. Like that's what we're using to calculate the rewards. So we know like getting that calculation, improving that and making sure that's as like optimized as possible. I think that's really like the main goal here, right? So we can know exactly what kind of cards we're dealing with, and exactly like make sure that the rewards are being fairly distributed.
Ensuring fairness, exactly. Yeah, we want to make sure that larger resource providers who are contributing more hardware are getting compensated effectively, or everything's being attributed correctly in terms of the whole picture. On another note, something else very exciting on the hardware side is support for multiple GPUs, making things easier to run in larger systems. And so this week we've pushed a lot on setting up a Docker image that you could run Lilypad on as a resource provider, all within Docker. So making things a lot more simple, but abstracting a few things away too, making it a little more difficult. But this will surely help our releases in getting our like versions for Windows and Linux and possibly other versions later down the line. Metal, maybe Apple.
Yeah, no, that's been super exciting. We've gotten a ton of questions of like, hey, I have like multiple GPUs on one machine. Can I run them as one resource provider? And of course, right now you can't do that, right? You can only run one GPU per resource provider. So yeah, this Proxmox sort of fix that you put together has been awesome. I know some people have been using it and been really excited about it. Essentially, if you have 3 GPUs on one machine, you basically turn that one machine into 3 resource providers using Proxmox, right?
Right. So that's the first iteration of multi-GPU support for Lilypad. I think maybe I can, signify the second version as being a Docker image resource provider. And so then all we do is you have Linux running Docker, and you have a resource provider for every GPU you have. And so there's a lot of things that we need to do to make this more simple, like abstracting away a lot of the wallet, wallet coordination, getting a Lilypad wallet, getting an Arbitrum wallet for every resource provider, making that more simple, coming up with like some possibly scripting or some programs to auto fill those wallets, I think is probably a really good idea, making it easier for those larger resource providers, but maybe small providers in general. But we do need to keep this safe in Web3. So a lot of that is being left up to the resource providers for now. And I do apologize for that. It's just we're a small team and we have a lot to do. And so, a lot of these things can be dangerous. Running scripts to move wallet funds around can be very, you can burn a lot of funds doing that. And so, proceed with caution, and we will definitely help you out as much as we can. But we are working with, digital networks here, and, cryptocurrency is not something to, play with and, just kind of burn, kind of got to be careful about it.
Yeah, for sure. And I know the team too is on the multi-GPU thing. It's like, as you said, there's a lot of priorities to like deal with, and so this is something that's like been brought up as like, hey, we need to work on this, but it's sort of been superseded by a couple other important pieces. So, but I think we are getting to that.
Yeah, definitely. The core engineering team is working on a lot of like the network issues, or a lot of just the network in general, fixing the issues there, also supporting the new features coming out. And then more on the hardware team, more on my side, we're working on stuff like that, like Dockerizing, containerizing resource providers, making it easier for bigger resource providers to use this, working with partners. TitanNet is the one who came out with the first Docker image as a Lilypad resource provider. So big shout out and thank you to our community members, TitanNet. Thank you for figuring that out for us. I was able to just take that, use their work, and use the community building aspect of this to help us out. So yes, love it.
Yeah, no, we super appreciate our partners. TitanNet has been awesome. Swan, Spheron, Parasail, like all these teams have been partnered with Lilypad in different ways, and we can't thank the community enough. Like it's been, the Lilypad network in general. We really feel like it's going to be successful. We have some major milestones and priorities from our end, but we also believe that we need to have tons of integrations and tons of different partnerships to really truly make this special and very useful for developers. And so whether you're like TitanNet creating a Docker image to run a Lilypad resource provider, that's amazing. Or we partner with Basin to provide data storage for training data that would go into some fine tuning for a model, or just saving inputs and outputs for Lilypad jobs using IPFS and decentralized storage. Like we are piecing together all the different sort of value propositions that are needed either internally or with really strong partners. So if you're interested, please reach out to us. We're super open to looking at ways to collaborate, whether it's storage. We've talked to a bunch of teams about privacy enhancing tools, of course, onboarding GPUs. We're talking to teams about building front ends using our infrastructure as the back end. There's also, the upcoming next stage of the incentivized testnet will be focused on module deployment. So adding, AI models, adding other types of programs to run on the Lilypad serverless compute network. That's something that we're going to be promoting and incentivizing specifically in the future too. And so, yeah, please reach out to us if you have any questions. All of our information is here, as you can see. even just jump into the GitHub and open up a PR. That's fine. Actually, I was going to highlight the most recent PR from the community was from one of our ambassadors, Caballero Rasa. I'll have to give him some credit, or give them some credit. They created a Telegram bot that will basically keep track of when your RP is up and down, and will send a notification when the resource provider is down. And so we merged that into the awesome Lilypad repo. I will link that here. But yeah, that was a really cool project that we immediately highlighted and threw into and then accepted a PR to our repo on here. I just put it in the chat. Yeah, so if you're building stuff, like, we will highlight it. We will even put it into some of our documentation and stuff. And so yeah, don't be shy. Cool. Well, I think we got through everything we wanted to get through today. I am excited. Looks like we've got about 583 nodes online. So as we've been talking,
I think that's ATH right there.
I believe so. Yeah, just as we were talking, more jumped on. So yeah, very exciting.
Thank you to everybody running a node. Those instructions, they may be short and they may be concise, but it's good to know that they're getting the job done nonetheless.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Good job, DevRel crew. Good job, engineering crew, for figuring that out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's a work in progress, right? I mean, we're in testnet, and the idea behind testnet is let's stress test everything, right? Let's stress test the network, let's stress test our team, let's stress test our docs, let's stress test our customer support. So yeah, everything is being stress tested, and it's working great. That's the exciting thing. It's working great. We've had to make some minor changes, create some new processes. Our documentation got a little crazy there for a second, so we had to go in and make sure that it was cleaned up, right? And made
right.
Yeah, and then we ended up feeding over a ton of FAQs into like a whole troubleshooting section. I mentioned that in earlier on the stream, but I'll put the link here in the chat in case anyone's interested. The troubleshooting section has been just a compilation of problems we've all faced throughout our day, and so it ends up being a big store of collective knowledge that is incredibly useful for everybody. So cool. All right. Well, thanks so much for everyone for attending today. Logan, thanks for the time. And yeah, keep building, and please reach out to us if you have any questions.
See you on the flip.
See you later. Bye, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.